Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm making this video just to help out. I've noticed not too many people have completed the quadratic equation, or quadratic function. Um, no, the quadratic equation, there we go. Quadratic formula assignment from Monday. And it's as simple as plugging in the three pieces, the coefficient of the quadratic term, the coefficient of the linear term, and the constant, and then working it out. It's another way to solve a quadratic equation rather than factoring or using square roots. And some people, once they know it, they want to use it for everything. Some of you, some parents had shown you before our last test, and you used that, but you realized, oh, it doesn't work real well when I have to factor something because it works for equations, but it doesn't work for expressions. And then at the end of this, I'll also kind of review real quickly what the discriminant is. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to understand, basically, you will have your final exam Thursday and Friday in class. I will not be there. I'm sorry, just tending to family business, and that's all I can do at the moment. So, the final exam will be using the alternative algebra book, and it'll be done online, but you'll use scrap paper and you have a calculator, and it will be over all things quadratic. So, you need to go over how to factor when a is 1 and a is bigger than 1. What's the difference of two squares? Don't forget to divide out the greatest common factor. There will be a couple word problems. How to use the discriminant. How to use the quadratic formula. So that's all going to be included. All right. So you need to be ready. Oops. As we deal with this. Okay. Now moving forward. Here we go. Trying to make this go quick. Here's the quadratic formula up in the corner. The roots of the equation, the solutions to the equation, will equal the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c divided by 2a. So here is one of the problems from your assignment. It said 4a squared minus 4a minus 35 equals 0. So you can see in little red letters the coefficient of the quadratic term is 4. The coefficient of the linear term is negative 4, and the coefficient of c is negative 35. Okay, so we plug those in. So the opposite of b is 4, plus or minus. So this is going to give you, because there's two potential roots here. Okay, b squared, well, negative 4 quantity squared. I mistyped that. I should edit it. So that's on me. Shame on me. Let me go edit that real quickly. Won't take but a second. And I have to do this so it calculates correctly. Okay. So you're going to take the square root of the square of b minus 4 times a, which is also 4, times c, which is negative 35, silence matter, all divided by 2a, which is 2 times 4. So that being said, if we look at that, and now I'm going to try to write with my mouse. It's going to be scary, but I think I can handle it. Okay, I look at this, one of the roots, and I didn't write the letter A from here. I didn't want to confuse you with that A, but one of the roots, okay, is going to be 4 plus the square root of this. Well, negative 4 quantity squared is 16, minus, you got a 4 times a 4 times another negative. So this negative and this negative are positive. So you put that in, it works out to 576. And you're going to divide it by 2 times 4, which is 8. So you notice I changed the plus minus to just plus, because you're also going to do it by doing minus. Okay, so I look at this and go, well, what is the square root of 476? And the answer to that is 24. So I got 4 plus 24 divided by 8, which is 28 over 8. Whoops. Which you could reduce. You don't need to make it a mixed number, but I'm looking at that. 4 goes into them both. That's going to be 7 over 2, or 3.5. And then you go over here and you do minus, so you're going to have 4 minus 24 divided by 8, which is going to be negative 20 over 8. Whoops. Which we divide those, reduce by 5, you get negative, or not by 5, by 4, negative 5 over 2. Oops, there we go. So our two roots in this case are 7 over 2 and negative 5 over 2. Now the other part I want you to focus on is, that was what we did, that's what was assigned on Tuesday. This part under the square root is called the discriminant, and it tells us a lot about the potential equation. How many roots does it have? The roots, remember, these solutions, this tells you, if you graph this, where the x-intercepts would be. And that tells you the roots of the equation, the solutions. These two numbers, 7 over 2, you plug that in for a, it'll make this true. Negative 5 over 2, you plug that in for a, it'll make this true. But the discriminant will tell you how many roots it will have. So if you think about it, because that part's going under the square root, all you're looking at is this. So when we look at what's under the square root sign, if it's positive, remember, and it's greater than, if it's positive, it means greater than 0, you're going to have 2 roots, okay? If the discriminant, if this part underneath is equal to 0 exactly, you're going to have 1 root, because you'd end up with 4, something plus 0, like in this case, basically this would be 0, so you'd have the same fraction twice, so there'd be 1 root. If it ends up being negative, can you take the square root of a negative? The answer is no, so it has no real roots. In other words, when it was graphed, it never crossed the x-axis. And you could see that in yesterday's lesson in picture. The picture I posted in the Canvas page. So, you need to make it a point to review and be prepared to factor, and factor completely. You'll have 2 days, okay, Thursday and Friday, to solve equations, solve word problems. There'll be scrap paper, or you'll need to bring some scratch paper, either way, okay? And then you can complete that and complete your work on there. Answers will go into the our alternative book, the HMH book, and it will grade it, but it's only going to grade your answers, so you have to be meticulous. Okay, take your time. Check later. It's been so busy. It's been hectic with all that's going on. I have graded your tests, and I will record them. They'll be in tomorrow. And right now is Tuesday night, so Wednesday morning I will get those in as fast as I can. Thank you.